Now, I was given the absolute promise that once I started this, that you weren't all going to simultaneously head up the stairs to get pitchforks and torches and chase me out of here. So resist that temptation if you would. I was born and raised in Corunna. I'm a local guy. Throughout my life, I've always had a very inquisitive nature. I want to know what makes things work. Why are things the way they are? That's been a constant in my life. When I was a kid, of course, I went through the usual kid-type things. When I was a young child, we were beginning the space exploration era. We had Mercury, we had Apollo, and I just would sit in front of the TV, and I literally had a notebook in my hand at age 8, taking notes of everything that was spoken. Jules Bergman, ABC News, covering the launch. The space launches used to take place in the afternoon, but the TV coverage would start at 9 a.m. and last until about 3 p.m. So I'm sitting there in front of that TV just scribbling notes. So I was very curious about space exploration. The next thing, of course, was, as any normal kid, I guess, baseball. Baseball for me became a life passion. I wasn't just a student. I wasn't just a kid who liked baseball. I was a student of baseball. Accumulate all the useless knowledge, now that I look back, I realize, concerning baseball. Following that, I took up a notion that I was going to be a distance runner. Oh yeah, dive into that head first. Oh yeah, I'm going to be a distance runner. I'm going to master this. Well, yeah, that lasted a few years, and then I realized I'm now going to be beguiled by the possibility of racing bicycles. So I dove again headlong into the pursuit of being a bicycle racer. I did that. I was fairly successful at it. I do now ponder, how much actual satisfaction did I get from that on a deeply personal basis? I was good at it, but did it truly fulfill me? Did it fill my cup, my personal cup? No, it didn't. I left that. Simultaneously with that, I had a relatively successful business. It revolved around bicycles. And I gained a significant knowledge base of that thing, a bicycle, and the industry that supports, the sale, manufacture of bicycles. I kind of ran to the end of that, and I realized what substantial benefit to me personally did amassing all of that knowledge. Yeah, well, great. I had a head full of all this, knowledge concerning bicycles, but where was the real fulfillment there? It escaped me. Frankly, it wasn't there. Well, I saw fit to do a very unusual thing. I actually closed a successful, profitable bicycle business because I found myself at a specific place where I was very unkind to a young person who simply wanted to change a pair of pedals on their bicycle. And I practically had an out-of-body experience where it was a wake-up call. Do you actually want to continue your life down this path? The answer to that was a loud and emphatic no. And that's when I made the choice to close a economically viable business because I was struggling with the possibility that there's got to be something more. There's got to be something more. Well, I didn't exactly, have that moment of testimony where a lightning bolt struck me out of the sky, but it was the cracking open of a door. It was like, there is more, and move. Let's see if we can move towards that. Was I at that point in time a, acknowledged believer? No, I wasn't. So I followed that up with a subsequent, series of other businesses, ventures. I brokered and bought and sold machine tools for a number of years, and I gained a certain mastery of machine tools and that industry. Was I fulfilled by that mastery? No, I was not fulfilled by that mastery. It was profitable, but there was a significant lack of fulfillment as a result. There were a number of other things that I ventured into. Now we turn the page and we come to the year 2000. Now I was not aware of it at the time, but my life was going to take a decided different path. And here's what it was. I was going to China to adopt a little girl. She was 1 year old. I got to see China and what exists there. And I will give you this piece of information. The typical U.S. opinion of what goes on in China. We may have a little bit of a jaundiced opinion of the political machinery that operates within China, but we need to understand that that's actually just the leadership of that country. That's not the width and breadth of the people of China. The people of China are so busy working, living a day-to-day life, they don't have time for all that political sleight of hand. That's the leadership. So when you have, significant misgivings about China, you can place that right at the feet of the leadership of China. Very similarly, we have a lack of, useful belief in some of the leadership in our own country. So, politicians are politicians, is what I'll say there. Anyway, back to the adoption of my daughter. She came to me when she was about a year old. At that specific point in my life, I was 44 years old. I was an elder parent. But what began to unravel for me, what the light that clicked on was, as I raised my daughter, and I was Mr. Mom. I was home with her from when she was about 1 until she was about 14, at which point she now has all these friends, so I'm kind of out of the picture a little bit. But it became really obvious to me that there was a certain grace that was being given to me in my ability to be with her and, raise her. I've likened it to the following. It was as if God was whispering in my ear, "Tim, do you get it now, dummy?" And frankly, it took me a little while to assemble that. Do I get it now, dummy? Well, yeah, I began to pick up the thread. Now, we're going to rush through about, 18 years or so. And now I'm thinking back. I'm thinking, well, you've done all this stuff. Wasn't necessarily all that fulfilling. Yeah, you gained a mastery of all these different things, for what that's worth. Throw it in a coffee cup and you can't even get a cup of coffee for that nickel. But it came to me. what would be so wrong with moving stridefully, purposefully towards faith? And I reflected back and I thought, there's not a thing wrong with that. As a matter of fact, there's everything right with it. To delay that or try to put that off, that wasn't going to be, it was going to be a continuation of what I already had, which was not that much. And I don't mean in terms of, possessions. I mean in terms of a spiritual enlightenment. So I've always been a relatively light sleeper. And I was sitting up one night about 3 o'clock in the morning, and I was listening to, on TV, the 700 Club, Pat Robertson. And he put out a call and saying that basically, I can ask for salvation right there in front of the TV. I thought, there was something that was urging me on. I thought, yes, this is the exact right moment that was predestined for me to take this affirmative step. And I found myself literally on my knees in front of my TV. And at that specific moment, I became a traveler on my journey to faith. Like any journey, it starts with a small step. We've all heard the saying that, a child has to crawl before they walk, walk before they run. Well, yeah, for me, that was absolutely the process of, coming to faith. And I'm still in that process. But I will measure out that in terms of, a more settled mindset, yeah, I have that now. I can reach out and actually grasp that. And the only attribute that I can give there is that it was in fact a calling from God to settle myself and move boldly towards faith. That is my testimony. I will share with you a couple of things that I've come to observe for myself. One is the notion of being of assistance to others.
Well, should just stay with that.
If a person can kind of surrender themselves to being to service of others, they're not going to go wrong with that. My personal credo that I work from is, if I can't be of assistance to others, I'm likely to be of very little assistance to myself. So I would suggest that anytime a person has the opportunity to help others, do it. Obviously, you're not going to do that if it's at your own hazard. If you're not in a safe, secure place, obviously, you're not just going to jump in. But even seeing someone on the street, offering them a smile. The simple act of opening a door for a person. Smiling at a small child. Let them know that there is a measure of security in this world. That is kind of the brief thumbnail sketch of, my arrival at the point of faith that I began on, and I'm still journeying through. I am so very grateful to be able to come here to this place, the Salvation Army, and to see all the good people here. It does float my spirit just to look out and see the friendly faces. I hope this is a benefit to someone. I would like to add that there's no significant benefit in delaying your bold steps towards faith. It's likely that you're going to arrive there at some point, so why not abandon yourself to it? Surrender yourself to faith. Don't let that be, that last piece of wash that's still hanging on the line. No, go grab that down. It's going to be of benefit to you beyond measure. So that's my testimony. I appreciate you bearing with me, and I don't see any pitchforks and I don't see any torches, so I think I survived this.